Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. On The Point of View, we get the right guests. We ask them the relevant questions on issues that matter to you. Today's is a special edition we're bringing to you from the IEA. We're very privileged to be speaking to a woman who has lived a life of distinguished public service. She's been Ghana's Chief Justice. She served between 2017 and 2019. Prior to that, she was in the Supreme Court as a justice from the year 1995. At the time, 2019, she was the longest serving Supreme Court justice. Her distinguished life has included stints in many continental bodies. She's also been chair of the University of Ghana Council and now is a Council of State member for Ghana. Tonight, to pick a reflection on some key national issues. She's very concerned about our girls in our secondary schools and the preying and exploitation. A very damning report has been released by UNICEF which paints a very dark picture. She'll comment on that and other matters as well. We'll also take her views on natural resource governance and on the state of our constitution and our country. All this and more when we come back. Stay with us.
Uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame? As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
The second coming. Into all this tension, just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late?
Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. Yeah, you go be the luckiest. Coffee from Georgia be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky, everybody go be that luckiest.
God, Kwame!
Send your God the boom. If you put it toy, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
When malaria strikes your home, it strikes everything. No more endless worry because of malaria. Fight malaria back with Vegetem. Vegetem is effective, safe, and fast-acting against malaria. Vegetem tablets stays effective right to the very last tablets. Vegetem is also available in suspension for children. Vegetem, tough on malaria, easy on you.
Welcome back. So, Her Ladyship, Justice Sophia Akuffo, is our guest. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
Doing very well.
Some people like to retire. You don't retire. You've been in public service for... I've been calculating, became a Supreme Court judge in 95. So that's 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And you are still in public service. You're on the Council of State. And you are still with IEA as a distinguished fellow. What is it with serving Ghana that enamors you so much, that has made you relentless in this life of public service?
As far as I'm concerned, I'm retired with certain activities. Mm-hmm. Yes, because these days nobody completely retires, so keeps the blood flowing.
But you are on the Council of State currently.
Yes.
And that's going to be for how long? Do you know that was the term for the Council of State?
For the duration of the government.
Of this government?
Yes.
So you are like the advisory board of the head of state. You sort of, he bounces important issues off you. Is that what the Council of State does?
Yes, the Constitution spells out certain things which need to be brought before the Council of State, before the President makes final decisions. So it's an advisory body.
So your advice is not binding on him?
That's what the Supreme Court decided.
We'll later on talk about what needs to change within our constitution, but you've lived with this constitution for long, because as I said, you became a justice of the Supreme Court in '95. So you've seen this document in all its in all its manifestations. First question: has the Fourth Republic served us well?
I do believe so. That's why it has lasted for this long. Yes. So the Fourth Republic, or the Constitution of the Republic, has to a very large extent served us well, and it helped us to stabilize our independence, so to speak. Therefore, the Constitution is a document that I have a lot of respect for. But then, there is nothing in human creation that is sacrosanct, or that should be intended to remain the same forever and ever. Amen. The things must evolve, and therefore there are many parts. Having lived under the Constitution for this long, by the grace of God, there are still improvements to be made.
So you will agree with a process to, is it review or rewrite?
Oh, review. Not
review.
Complete rewriting. Review. There are parts that have served us well. There are parts that have served reasonably well, but could do better after we have practiced it for a while, could do with some tweaking here and there. Yes. And there are some parts that should be revised. And maybe there could be some other things that could be added.
There's a general view by a lot of those who feel the Constitution needs to be reviewed that it gives too much power to the executive. As a general, they say that's the texture they get in whether the manner he appoints people in the police or the army heads, or even the relationship between the executive and the other arms of state. They feel like at the time, maybe that worked, but having done this for 33 years, the Constitution needs to be re-looked at in rebalancing the power. Is that a view you
yes,
you agree with?
I endorse that. I endorse that view. There are a number of constitutional bodies, for example, that are set up. How appointments are made to those constitutional bodies could do with a revision, so as to enhance the independence. It shouldn't be apparent independence. It should be real independence. Independence in outlook, independence in the distance between the operations of that institution and the executive, or even and the legislature for that matter. When it's supposed to be an independent body, independence must be seen to be done. And there are too many, practically all the constitutional bodies, there's too much involvement of the executive. And things have evolved. Even in practice, we have seen the shortcomings. And if we take a world view and we are looking at international best practices have also changed. Some of these methods of appointment, maybe we borrowed from somewhere else or the other, and some of these have also changed even in the places where we were borrowing them from. And we need to. That is one of the reasons why there have to be these these changes.
Must the review also take into cognizance the recent, I know you don't want to go specific into details of the former CJ, but at least the idea of securing the judiciary, because of course you've served your whole life almost in the judiciary, from executive dominance. For example, some people feel the way 146 is written and the way it manifested in the previous case is not a good example. So if there's going to be a review, 146 must be looked at again. Is that something you believe?
Not only 146, it's important to reconceive the judiciary and how appointments are made, judicial discipline, removal from the bench. All these need a second look. I have a very passionate view, and I have had it for quite a long time, long before recent events, about how the judiciary is appointed, because the manner in which that the appointment is made leaves a lot to be desired. There is not much transparency in the process, and it's important for that to happen, because otherwise then it leads to all kinds of speculation. Oh, this one got appointed because of this and that, and so on and so forth, because they may not know the reality of the qualifications and the merits of the appointment, because somebody was picked and some name was dropped and so on and so forth. So there's even the appointment. So the methodology of the appointment leaves a lot to be desired, and the trend these days is to have an independent body made up of people or persons who are representing certain social bodies. Mm-hmm. So you're there not because some political person liked you. You're on that body because you're a member of a certain group.
So it's like the National Media Commission. It's representatives of various bodies, and then they choose their head.
Exactly. And then, has there ever been any horrible controversy about the appointments in the Media Commission?
No.
No.
Because sometimes even the person who leads it may not be the president's nominee.
No.
They are free to choose who they want to.
Exactly.
Even though the president has some nominees on the commission.
Yeah, and even then, the number of such nominees should be kept at the barest minimum, because you ask yourself, why this number, and why should there be such nominees? Tell us. And the justification, no one has ever been able to tell me why.
Do you believe there should be a limit to the number of justices on the Supreme Court, for example?
I always make a long argument when I'm asked that question, because before you will put a limit on, you can begin to talk about a limit on the number of Supreme Court justices, you need to also then look at the scope and magnitude of the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. To the extent, and for so long as you have a Supreme Court, to which everybody has a right of access if they keep appealing along the hierarchy, how can you limit the number of the judges? They are overworked.
The workload is too much.
Yes, they are overworked, because there is no limit to even in terms of value of the case. There's no limit as to subject matter. There's no limit. And you will notice, if you were to do some quick research, that in every jurisdiction where there is a certain limit to the number of justices. It's because the sort of cases that can come to the Supreme Court is also limited. And then, for example, in the U.S. Supreme Court, which has a different thing, it's up to the court, outside the court, to decide what case. So pre-court, they decide what cases they're doing. And they will decide, this year, we're doing X number of appeals. And that's it. So, but ours is come one, come all. And I can give you some of the most ridiculous situations whereby maybe somebody applied for stay of proceedings in the circuit court.
As low as the circuit court?
Yeah, in the circuit court. And the court refused it. So they appealed to the Court of Appeal on the refusal to stay proceedings. And the Court of Appeals says, yeah, we uphold the decision of the circuit court.
Yeah.
And then the person wants
appeals to Caesar.
Appeal to, yes. And then they will want a stay, they want a stay of the decision of the Court of Appeal, which upheld
it's like the class prefect bringing every dispute to the headmaster straight.
That's what
without going through the class teacher.
No, even if you go, there should be a limit
to the cases that get to the headmaster.
Yes.
So there's a frivolity there. So
There
we can't
can
discuss
be
the number
frivolity.
if we don't look at the way, what type
How
of case can
you
we get
get
there. So they must be discussed in tandem.
That must be discussed.
Okay.
And that must be, there should be a cut-off point. In some jurisdictions, they'll decide that it is only matters which raise issues of law, not issues of fact. Issues of fact after the Court of Appeals is enough. But you must be raising only issues of law. And even the issues of law must be novel. Shouldn't be something which has been rehashed over and over and over again. There have been so many decisions. So whatever decisions were made along the way were based on existing precedents. And so unless there's some fundamental change in circumstances that will justify asking the Supreme Court to change its stance on a particular matter, you should not be coming to rehash.
Finally, I know yourself and Prof. Michael Quay, under the aegis of the IEA, have already done some work on constitutional review. Is that part of what is going on? Because the concern is that every government comes with a flavor. President Mills set up a committee, Fiajo chaired it, they produced a 1,000-page report. President Akuffo came, Osechi Mensah and co did some work, I think, and that work was presented to President Mahama. Now President Mahama has appointed H. Kwesi Prempeh to do another job. Of course, he tells us all the previous jobs are part, but it seems it's almost like every regime has their own flavor of how do we end this? How do we get to a point where we all agree that this job is for all of us and it's once and for all?
Well, we just have to agree as a nation, or the decision makers have to simply agree that once the Prempeh committee comes up with its recommendations and it goes through the necessary processes and we vote on it, let's live with it and work with it and see what happens. You see, because we must never proceed on the concept that the Constitution is cast in stone. It is not. It is not. cast in stone and must not be seen as cast in stone. Otherwise, you strangle yourself as a nation, because a constitution must be responsive to the people as the years go on. And that is what Justice Sowa called a living constitution. It is responsive, and it must have meaning from generation to generation. And the only way it can have that, partly through judicial interpretation and construction and things like that, that's a judicial evolution, but also through periodic revisions that will catch up with the times.
Wonderful.
Yes.
This is the point of view. We're speaking to Her Ladyship, Justice Sophia Akuffo, reflecting on many things. When we come back, we'll delve into a very troubling report that the United Nations Children's Fund released, Sheltered Yet Exposed. The report found that close to 52% of female students in HSSs were sexually assaulted over a 3.5-year period. It raises some very serious concerns about how our females in school are preyed upon. We'll discuss some of those. Later on, we'll also talk about natural resource governance, one of the pet subjects of the IEA. Stay with us.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the winner, President and Chair of the Board of the Trade Finance Bank of Africa, Afri-Exim Bank, Professor Benedict O. Rama.
In navigating financial challenges in our region for sustainable development, when we look at challenges, we also know that challenge is one side of a coin. You have challenges, we also have opportunities. And that is why Afri-Exim Bank has grown the fastest in times of crisis.
I also thank organizers for considering me worthy of this prestigious award, which I will cherish all through my life.
The Africa Prosperity Champions Awards APCA and Presidential Gala Dinner unites visionaries from heads of state, business leaders, social change makers to innovators to celebrate African excellence in order to encourage a new generation of leaders. More than an awards ceremony, this event declares that Africa's narrative is one of triumph and prosperity. We celebrate a new story where African solutions guide us forward. Each honor exemplifies the vast potential of our continent. The 4th edition of the Africa Prosperity Champions Awards and Presidential Gala Dinner takes place on February 6, 2026 at the Kempinski Gold Coast Hotel in Accra, Ghana. To attend, you may contact +233 536 09 8325 or send an email to protocol@africaprosperity.network. You may also visit africaprosperitynetwork.com for your tickets now.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late, of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. You go be the luckiest. Coffee from Georgia be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
God, Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it at all, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Welcome back to The Point of View. Tonight, we're speaking to former Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Sophia Akuffo, on a wide range of issues. We started talking about the Constitution. She shared a few views on those. But the next segment will focus on a very troubling report. So a report by UNICEF and the Girls Excellent Movement revealed, this is 2023 by the way, that 51.9% of females in HSSs were sexually assaulted between 2019 and 2021. The report, titled Sheltered Yet Exposed, said 54.3% of those girls were between the ages of 17 and 22, while 45.7% were aged between 11 and 16. It said these acts were perpetrated by friends, family friends, schoolmates, teachers, and strangers. Friends topped the chart with 24%, family friends 12%, schoolmates 12%, teachers 10%, and strangers 9%. For somebody like you who has served at the highest level as a woman, hearing a report like this is not too dated, right?
No.
It irks you, I'm sure. Why should this be happening in 2023, 24, 25? What are your thoughts?
It's very disheartening that, it's like there's a certain adage, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Because it's almost as though we never moved. And it seems to me, it comes from a certain conception that, I will use the word conception rather than perception, that when you're a female, you're fair game, and indeed, when we were young, you were brought up to believe that every male, other than those at home with you, not even including the houseboy or the employees, are all predators, and therefore watch out. For my mother, that was her rule: stranger danger, watch out. And it's a shame that matters have not improved, even though we've got all sorts of laws now which have been well publicized. We've got special courts that deal with gender-based violence and so on and so forth. But it worries me. In fact, I realize from these statistics that even this stranger danger is even misleading, and therefore we need to revise.
So it's not even strangers.
The advice we give to I give to my granddaughter. It's not stranger danger, male danger. Maybe that's what it should be. We should go back to my mother's concept, male danger.
Is it a question of law or values? I'll give you an example. Last month, a video emerged of a teacher in a school called KNUST SHS who was seen behaving inappropriately with a student. Now, the discussion on social media seems to suggest that if the student is 17 and is of age, it's not such a big issue. Of course, a lot of people condemned it, but there was a bit of tolerance, and in fact, if you listen to some of the media discussions around this, they were trying to say, well, the girl knows what she was doing, why are you blaming only the teacher? And there's a lot of that. So are we fighting a losing battle if all we focus on is the law? Because it seems to me that you may change the law, but if a person's thinking around appropriate behavior is wrong-headed, I'm not sure you will succeed in changing anything.
But you see, the law is only part of the toolkit. Whether it's even, you take any crime, or for that matter, any civil offense, the law functions as part of the toolkit, where when all else fails, that should not fail.
Okay.
But other than the law, there's also upbringing, there's also socialization, there's also morality, there's also common sense and decency, and a whole load of other forces that should work together. And so for when you in a society where somebody who is, in law we will say in loco parentis, somebody who is in the shoes
of a parent,
that's a teacher, that's a boss, that's anybody in a position superior to that of the survivor. I don't like the word victim. Yes. And so, somebody who's abusing, a boss who's abusing his or her position for that matter. Any person in a position of power who is abusing it, it is wrong. And the fact that you're 17 years old, and I have to tell you, I was never molested, but I think there will be very few females of any generation who do not remember some dirty old man somewhere along the line who, it could be, hey, Osofuba Jekoto Tofif Bremi. And then when you come, he's trying to entice you into his room to bring you the sweets. And if your mom has not warned you, then you follow him into the room. There's always, the predators are always there. And unfortunately, we still have in our society a vestige of, oh, don't talk about it. Oh, it's embarrassing. Oh, it's shameful. Oh, and what did you do? What did you do? Yes, look at the dress you're wearing. And that sort of thing, where there are all kinds of justifications that in some total amount to enablement. And we need, as a society, so basically, in answer to to your question, it's a whole social matter.
But let's come to the schools. We've had programs where people have called in to say a lot of our girls in secondary schools are being preyed upon by their duty bearers, whether it's a teacher or, and they feel like the way the educational service punishes errant teachers is more with transfers, and that there needs to be a stronger view of punishing offending teachers or duty bearers in a way that is more exemplary. I don't know what your reflections are on that. Some people also think we should even take it away from the GES and let it be dealt with as a criminal matter, because there are lots of times where the big punishment for a teacher found misbehaving is a suspension or a transfer. That's typically what tends to happen.
That should be beside. That should, because after all, okay, maybe it depends on whether
no,
there was
harassment.
A crime.
I'm not even talking about
not necessarily not a crime
yes,
yet.
So maybe you have a 15-year-old student in SHS2 in an inappropriate relationship with a teacher, where they are texting and talking to each other in a way that is clearly unethical.
Okay.
Do you then? I'm not sure it's a crime, so I'm not sure how you're going to deal with that.
It will not. That's the thing. It's sort of borderline, because
it's ethical,
you see,
ethically wrong.
It raises ethical issues, professional ethics, and even social ethics, because an adult should not be relating to a much younger person in a certain way. And in some jurisdictions these days, they call it grooming. And that will also be dealt with as a kind of
offense
on its own, because
misdemeanor.
Even if it's just a misdemeanor, it is still an offense. So because sometimes in crime prevention, you don't want to reach the edge of the cliff. You would want to start putting up the barriers half a mile, at least half a mile from the edge of the cliff. And we really need to take a full second look at how we deal with crimes and offenses. Let me use the word offenses. Offenses against younger persons. I'm also using a gender neutral
because some of the
expression.
You say you don't like the word victims. Some of the survivors are boys.
Yes, and sometimes their situation is even sadder and more heart-wrenching than with the girls, because society is more ready to even hear the complaint from the girl, or even to begin to suspect and quickly come and rescue the girl than the boy. And the boy, they wouldn't even know how to tell their mom.
Yeah.
And if you can't tell your mom, who can you tell? And they might not even, when it happens, they might not even be able to tell their best friend. They don't have anyone they can whisper to. And in many cases, it's years after that they might speak about it to somebody else, and the agony, the emotional agony they went through. Abuse of a younger person is abuse of a younger person.
So are you proposing, for example, that our laws should now have a category for grooming?
For grooming,
yes. Because I'm not sure there's any, I'm not a lawyer, so I may not know this, whether grooming in Ghana is an offense.
I don't think it is an offense. The person didn't quite jump into the lake.
But in UK, it is an offense. I think in the US as well it is.
Yes, because grooming can go on for years. And sometimes the sad thing is that it will be under the nose of the parents. If the groomer is a person in a position of trust, and it will go on and on and on and on. And sometimes the grooming will begin to make the younger person feel uncomfortable, but they don't know what to say. You haven't quite attacked them, so they don't know what to say, but they know they are feeling uncomfortable, and that's why
maybe you should lead a campaign on refining some of the laws around that area, because you are obviously equipped in that area to propose some changes to our criminal laws. But let's still.
Will you join that campaign?
I'm putting you on air because of this. In fact, I am here because of that. How concerned are you about the paucity of numbers of our women in public office, particularly when the affirmative action law, at least on paper, I think the law has been passed.
It has been passed finally.
Sheila Minka-Premo and her people have finally gone through. But of course, we should celebrate that. But if you look at how affirmative action manifests in actuality, we still have a long way to go, don't we?
Yes, we still have a long way to go. And just as it took decades, I do believe decades, because Sheila and her group were at it for ages. Just as it took decades even to get the act to pass, even though it was a bill for 1,000 years. Yes. It's the same thing. The enforcement and the application becomes yet another thing, because it is an act that is whose intent and whose objective is to change thought and behavior. And so you can't just say that you've passed the act and therefore, hooray, everything is hunky-dory. So there have to be legal actions. There have to be more talks. There have to be more awareness raising. There have to be. We need to talk about it more than we have been doing. I would like to see maybe practically every day on some channel, on one channel or the other, a discussion going on about its provisions and the ramifications of the provisions and so on and so forth. But at the same time, we also need a whole load of revised regulations, regulatory, consequential regulations, which are aimed at actualizing the act. In many countries, they would then decide that they would even give percentages in terms of public positions. In some countries, I think in Rwanda, for every position occupied by a man, either the boss or the deputy has to be female, and so on.
So it should be as aggressive like that?
Oh yes, it has to be, because when you're changing behavior and mindset, it doesn't come naturally.
Do you think our political parties have a better role to play here in their primaries, where they could agree to allow some seats to be contested purely by women? Because we are 41 out of 276. That's so low. Would that work?
Without an act that specifically requires that each political party must ensure that they field not less than
X percentage candidates.
Exactly. And then there's also, for example, in Uganda, where there's a requirement, they have certain percentages for youth representation, for representation of the armed forces, representation of women, and there's a certain portion of seats in their parliament which is for women. Although women can compete with men for the general seats, there's a certain number of seats which only women can compete for. And you need to do that. It does not, I have to keep saying, to think gender equity and gender equality does not come naturally to a whole lot of people, because society has been so male dominated for so long that people don't even see when they are even discriminating on gender basis against women.
So we need something radical.
Yes.
We'll take a break. This is still the point of view. My guest, Her Ladyship Justice Sophia Akuffo. When we come back, we'll deal with the issue of the natural resource sector. IE has been shouting. For example, in September, they called for a halt to mining lease renewals and a reset of the mining sector in Ghana's interest. They've set him out the petroleum sector as well. What are your thoughts on those? And also the fight against Galamsey. We seem to be dithering on that fight. What are your thoughts on this government's fight against Galamsey? Stay with us.
When you buy, you build. Your purchase becomes progress. Each choice writes a better story for someone else.
Afro-quality. Buy African, build Africa.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late, of course.
Star 712 hush, star 712 hush. coffee be the luckiest. Coffee from Georgia be luckiest. From Natepia, cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you coffee be lucky, luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwamio! Senya God the apple boom! If you put it toye, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712#. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Welcome back. This is still The Point of View. It's a special edition coming to you from the IEA. My guest, Her Ladyship Justice Sophia Akuffo. She was our Chief Justice between 2017 and 2019. She's a member of the Council of State. She was also the chairman of the University of Ghana Council, and she's been a Supreme Court judge. At least she was a Supreme Court judge from 1995, reflecting on the Constitution, affirmative action, gender-based violence, and abuse of minors. Let's end with one of your institute's favorite topics. I was just going through my notes. Almost every quarter, I shout about natural resource governance. The last one I got, they called for a halt to mining lease renewals and a reset of the mining sector in Ghana's interest. What is it about the natural resource sector that has animated the IEA so much? It's almost become the big thing for you guys, at least for the past 2 years. Why?
I think our natural resource governance and management and administration and everything should be a flea in every Ghanaian's bonnet. It's our natural resource. It is our natural endowment from God. That's what He gave us. He planted it into the land for us. It's His gift to us. And why? Because the Bible says that He has blessed us with every blessing that we need. So why do we keep going to IMF? Why should we even consider ourselves poor? Poverty, there's nothing wrong with losing your money because you did not invest properly. I'm not denigrating anybody who is poor, but it is not the intent of the maker that anybody should be poor. So he invested in us intellectually, emotionally, and then as a nation, he invested in our land and in our waters, and we have our forests and everything. Okay, that's my Presbyterian preamble. But on top of all that, if you take it from the world view, think of the value of what we have. And so why should Obuasi look so grotty? And why should Takwa? I remember my first time I went to Takwa, I was so disappointed. As for Prestia, I did, I felt sad. And I actually, I think I went there in 2019 during my time as Chief Justice, when I was going around looking at our courts. And I felt sad. And I said, oh, Prestia, is this it? And try and imagine the amount of gold. If you go to Akwetia, imagine the amount of diamonds. Imagine all the natural resources that have flowed from these towns, and have, the processes do not, or ordinarily also do much good to the environment. And all that it has left is a bad environment. And
so let me understand the position. Is it to say that government should nationalize all mines? Is that what the IEA is pushing for?
No, but there is nothing wrong with state ownership of part or whole of anything. We're not talking only about mines either. We're talking natural resources. I always prefer it that way. Our forests, our
oil blocks,
water, oil, and everything. Yes. What's wrong with state participation in every...
But your lady, the state does have carried interest in, for example, the latest one, the lithium, the Awoya mine. There's a carried interest of at least 11% for the state.
And why 11%?
With royalties of about 13% royalties.
Yes.
So the state does participate.
So we should dance over that?
So that's the question. So are you saying that you want the state to have more or all?
Yeah, well, why not? There's nothing wrong with that. The state can own the entirety of the activity and contract out the services. What's wrong with that? Service contracts. What's wrong with that?
Do we have the capital to exploit?
The capital is in the ground.
What about the technical know-how?
Why do we keep that
I'm asking a question. Because
that thing
we've been mining since...
We've had School of Mines.
Yes.
We've had University of Science and Technology. It used to be an institute. Then it became a college. Then it became... We have produced so many engineers of various types. In Takwa alone, they've always had an institute, which is now even a university, isn't it? Yes. And when you go to quite a number of the internationally known mining companies around the world, you will always meet at least one Ghanaian who is there. They stole that Ghanaian from Ghana, and that person is working on their mine in some other place. Technical know-how, we have it, and if we don't have it, we can also buy that. That resource we have under the ground, that's our capital.
So you think there should be a reimagining of how the relationship between the state and foreign capital deals with our natural resources?
Yes,
generally.
and the state and let's say the state and non-state capital, because that non-state capital can also be Ghanaian capital. Yeah. Why do we think that we don't have rich Ghanaians?
Well, that's a different economic question. We've had the nation recently go to the international market to look for money, to even do basic things as pay salaries. If you remember, we got into a big crisis in 2022 because the then government had gone to the international capital markets to borrow at very expensive rates. So the view by the political class is almost as if tax revenues are not enough. And for some reason, borrowing is the way to go. And since they don't have access to what is called concessional loans, they did go to loan sharks in the international capital market to borrow money. So that's the reality the finance people will say to you.
That's all. I personally think that's all Kwekwa Nancy's story. You don't know economics. I don't know economics. They say they know economics, and then they come and tell you Anansi. And then when everything goes wrong, they jump into the corner. And Untina Anansi, Oshe, corner of the room. You know, we do need to we need to, there's this mindset we have that there's only a particular way for the nation Ghana to monetize its natural resources. And that formula, that is what I call the Gettysburg formula, the Gettysburg formula, which is you give it to some foreigner. They do all the work, and then they will tell you, okay, this is your share. This is your...
They pay you royalties, and then you have a carried interest, which you can...
And all that, and all that, and all that.
You disagree with that?
I disagree with that.
But let's give a good case study. As we speak, we discussed the Awoya lithium project in 2023. There was a big discussion about whether the terms were favorable or not. It's been 2 years. Parliament hasn't ratified it. The company initially employed 167 people. 100 of them have gone home. They have only 62 employees because, according to them, the process is delaying. All right. So you've had 2 years to get the company to start exploiting lithium. They've not been able to do it. And 100 people are sitting home who initially were employed. That's pressure. A government wants its people to work. So how do you, so what's your advice on how they should resolve this Awoya issue?
And what is holding up?
I think Parliament hasn't ratified
the Awoya matter.
Parliament hasn't ratified the deal, and they're also saying that the price of lithium has changed to a point where there must possibly be a renegotiation of the terms. This is my understanding of the situation.
Listen, lithium, once the world has decided that it is no longer going to be digging oil, relying only on hydrocarbons, and that it is now going to be going more into electrically generated vehicles and so on and so forth. And then lithium is part of what is needed for that. Yes, like gold. Right now, gold is riding high. Some time ago, gold was down there. It's a commodity. So don't let anybody bamboozle us with lithium price and lithium price. That lithium under the ground, are we feeding it? Are we paying rent on it? We're not. Let it remain there. What stops Parliament from doing its due diligence? If right at the beginning, the government plus the mining company had done their homework, basic homework, what does the law of Ghana require? Then they will not have this situation. But they thought they could jump the gun. That's all I have to say.
Let's talk about Galamsey. Last week there was a big issue in the Esutifin North area where the commander of the National Anti-Galamsey Task Force was nearly lynched by 600 community members in a town near Hwidiem. It took essentially reinforcement of police to save him. What is your general assessment of this government's fight against Galamsey and the way it appears to have become intractable?
Well, you know, Galamsey did not become intractable in 2025. Galamsey became intractable quite a long time ago. And we've been playing games around it. We've been dancing around it. And it has become a political issue till it has reached a time when it has grown so many teeth and fangs that it is killing and poisoning people, everybody. So I'm not in a position to evaluate what the government is doing, nor am I even in a position to advise the government what to do to curtail Galamsey. But the point is that it's about time that Ghanaians also woke up and stopped being childish, and in the communities where Galamsey is going on, for there to be grown-ups getting up and deciding that enough is enough. We cannot continue to pollute our waters, and we cannot continue to be poisoning our land and our produce, our agricultural produce, with poisons because of irresponsible exploitation of the land. A gift from God, we have used it to poison ourselves. That's wrong.
Do you believe, or do you agree with those who say the government needs to declare a state of emergency in Galamsey areas? Civil society groups, some believe this. Media coalition.
I believe that there should be a moratorium on every form of mining till we sort ourselves out. Because whether it's legal mining, whether it's illegal mining, whatever is a small-scale mining, and whatever is Galamsey, and so on and so forth. This quest to mine our resources has gone out of hand. And therefore, let's call a pause.
A moratorium on all forms.
Yes.
Until we sort out Galamsey.
Let's sort out, and not only Galamsey, even how we're going to be regulating and how we're going to be managing artisan. Everybody comes up with some kind of terminology or the other. And then in the meantime, we are busy renewing leases and things like that. Let's stop for a while. The monies we have been collecting, let's be using them wisely.
We'll also stop for a while here. Our time is up. We've been talking to Her Ladyship Justice Sophia Akuffo, a distinguished life of public service, now on the Council of State, a distinguished fellow of the IEA, speaking on many issues, constitution, gender-based violence, and also natural resource governance. Thanks for watching tonight's edition of the program. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.